work that went into this task force, again, on a collaborative basis throughout the Southern California region. All of our partners in both the fellow city agencies, our counties, all the way up to our federal partners have played a very important role in moving forward on this task force. So I first want to acknowledge, and I know some of the other chiefs that are going to speak after me will acknowledge the hard work of their people. I want to acknowledge specifically the hard work of our Juvenile Division Captain, Captain Edward's son, and Lieutenant Robert Richards, who's done an outstanding job running our ICAC in really spearheading the effort here in Southern California and assisting other agencies with their investigations and bringing all of this to the fore here today. So the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force program was developed by the United States Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. The mission of the ICAC Task Force program is to assist local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies with investigating internet-related crimes against our youth. Currently, the ICAC Task Force program consists of 61 coordinated task forces and over 5,400 federal, state, and local law enforcement members. So we have a worldwide reach for anything that happens in this region, and we work very closely, again, with our partners. The Los Angeles Regional ICAC Task Force, led by the LAPD, covers 5 Southern California counties: Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino, Santa Barbara, and Ventura County. The LA ICAC Task Force is currently comprised of 102 affiliate agencies. So we have officers, detectives, investigators cycling in and out of the task force throughout all of our allied agencies in the Southern California region, operating as one unit, networking, working very closely together to identify, track, investigate, and eventually prosecute all of this activity that goes on online. The LAPD ICAC unit, as the lead agency, is the primary clearinghouse for all cyber tips associated to the 5 Southern California counties received from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The cyber tips include reports from various electronic service providers and citizens reporting incidents that involve the possession, distribution, and manufacturing of child sexual abuse material and the online-related exploitation of children. Our most important resource here in the Southern California region. During the weeks of August 12th, 2024 to August 23rd, 2024, the LA ICAC Task Force orchestrated a multi-agency operation, Operation Online Guardian. And today we're here to announce the results of that task force and that operation. The goal of Operation Online Guardian was to identify and arrest predators who are using the internet to facilitate the sexual abuse of children and to rescue children from said predators. Operation Online Guardian was executed in 2 phases. The first phase included proactive, undercover investigations on a variety of social media platforms. The second phase included the service of multiple residential search warrants throughout the 5 counties, in addition to arrest warrants, which focused on child predators. So as you see very often on some of the television programs and you often see in the news, this is the real work where the rubber meets the road. During Operation Online Guardian, our dedicated investigators demonstrated unwavering commitment and compassion as they embarked on a critical mission to protect the innocent. Through their diligent efforts, vulnerable children were rescued from further abuse, and victims who had been silenced by the atrocious crimes of child sexual abuse found their voices restored. Additionally, justice was served as numerous suspects who sought to prey on our young through social media and chat applications were apprehended and brought to face the consequences of their actions. These significant achievements are a testament to the profound impact that this task force has made in safeguarding our communities and upholding the values we hold dear. Together, we continue to stand strong in the face of predators who seek to sexually exploit children, working tirelessly to create a safer environment for all. So let's talk about the results. As a result of the collaborative efforts employed by the LA ICAC Task Force, specially trained digital forensic dogs, the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, Los Angeles Police Department's Gang and Narcotics Division, and Divisional Vice Units, the following arrests were made. there were 205 arrests made for various child sexual exploitation charges, including sodomy with a child under the age of 10, continuous sexual abuse of a child, lewd acts with a child, meeting a minor for lewd purposes, contact or attempted contact with a minor for sex, sending obscene matter to a child for sexual gratification, penetration with a foreign object by force or fear, sodomy, possession of child sexual abuse material, distribution of child sexual abuse material, child annoying, failure to register as a convicted sex offender. So in other words, someone had already been involved in this type of activity and they failed to register, and various additional violations of parole and probation conditions by convicted sex offenders. The task force should be applauded and commended for their unwavering dedication and tireless efforts in safeguarding the most vulnerable members of our society, our children. Their relentless pursuit of making the internet a safe haven for our youth is nothing short of inspiring. And it is truly a good indication of your tax dollars at work and all the hard work done by these investigators under very difficult and trying circumstances in order to bring good evidence to bear and ensure a thorough prosecution as well. As a community, it is our duty to rally behind these exceptional individuals and support their crucial mission of making our children safe. Together, let us stand united and work hand in hand with the LA ICAC Task Force to create a safer digital landscape for our most valuable resource here in Southern California, our children. I'm going to answer questions later on in the press conference. I'm now going to hand it over to Chief Manny Sid from the Glendale Police Department.
Thanks, Manny.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out and braving the heat. I'd like to thank the Los Angeles Police Department, Chief Choi, Chief Hamilton, as well as all our law enforcement partners across the Southern California region, many of which you see here today. Their partnership and the collective effort in combating internet crimes against the most vulnerable folks in our community, our children. More specifically, I'd like to thank and acknowledge all of our investigators, analysts, and partners, all of who are committed and have worked tirelessly and have seen the results of hundreds, as the Chief touched on, hundreds of arrests of child predators, including 19 violators by the Glendale Police Department. Each of these arrests don't just represent a statistic, but really represent young lives impacted. In a world increasingly connected by technology, the internet offers tremendous benefits and opportunities for education, communication, and growth. However, it also represents and presents unique challenges and dangers, particularly for our youth in all of our communities. Predators can lurk in the shadows, taking advantage of children, often exploiting them in ways that leave deep emotional scars and worse. It's our collective responsibility to ensure that our children can navigate the digital landscape in a safe manner. To that end, I urge every member of our communities, particularly our parents, to join us in this important fight. As a parent of 2 teenage daughters myself, we must be proactive in discussing internet safety with our children. Encourage open communication and let them know that they can come to us with concerns without the fear of judgment. So to all our community members, know that the law enforcement community is here to support you, and together we can ensure a safer environment for all of our children where they can explore and learn and grow without the fear of danger lurking behind their screens. Lastly, let this operation and the ongoing efforts of law enforcement serve as a clear message to anyone attempting to prey on the youth of our communities. This will not be tolerated. Not in Glendale, not in LA County, not anywhere across the Southern California region. We in law enforcement stand united, as you see here today, and together we will bring our resources to bear to aggressively pursue child predators and sex offenders and bring them to justice. Again, I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone involved in this operation, from the officers and the staff on the front line to the leadership of all of the involved agencies. Your dedication and commitment to protecting our children is truly commendable and inspiring. I'd like to now turn it over to the Chief of the Southgate Police Department, Chief Darren Arkawa. Darren.
Thank you, Chief Sid. Thank you, Chief Hamilton. Good morning. On behalf of the women and men of the Southgate Police Department, I want to congratulate and thank all of the investigators and staff at the ICAC Task Force who have tirelessly entrenched themselves into these cases that are often painful to investigate. We are all aware that there's no shortage of pressing issues in LA County that law enforcement can easily shift resources to. The fentanyl crisis, homelessness, residential burglaries perpetrated by organized crime groups, and the list goes on. But the leadership in law enforcement have a deep-seated understanding on the importance of these cases and won't hesitate to commit the resources necessary to their respective detective bureaus and the ICAC task forces. The work of everyone in the ICAC task force speaks volumes of their tenacity and work ethic to bring what many view as one of the most vile criminals in existence to justice. Sexual predators, and specifically those that prey upon minors, should be at the top of our target list. And the successful outcome of the work conducted in the month of August by all of our law enforcement partners underscores that relentless pursuit of these predators will not stop. What is more impressive and cannot be overlooked is the coordinated effort among law enforcement that transpired in Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Orange counties. I feel comfortable in saying that our interagency cooperation throughout Southern California region is a model for other regions throughout the state and the nation. It's not all uncommon to see that once you start peeling back the layers of these investigations in one jurisdiction, the investigative doors start opening up in other jurisdictions. The value of information sharing and the unwavering cooperation from everyone involved becomes evident in the outcomes, which includes the arrest, prosecution, and eventual conviction of those responsible. What is not lost on us are the victims that the ICAC task force has been able to identify and in some instances rescue. We have to continue to advocate for the victims and call upon those outside the law enforcement community to help us pass proper legislation that maximizes penalties for those convicted. We also need to continue working with our local and county prosecutors to use the existing laws on the books to help bring the appropriate charges and enhancements when necessary. Again, I want to thank everyone in this room, the ICAC task force members, the LAPD, every chief in this room, command staff that have invested so many of their resources to this very important investigative cause. At this time, I'm going to introduce Deputy Special Agent in Charge Sean Gibson from Homeland Security Investigations.
Good morning. Technology is great sometimes. Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Sean Gibson, Deputy Special Agent in Charge with Homeland Security Investigations here in Los Angeles. Today, I'm proud to represent HSI and highlight the small part we played to help make this operation so successful. The mission of protecting our children is one of the most critical we undertake. And it's only through these joint and proactive efforts that we can achieve such successes that we've seen in Operation Online Guardian 2.0. I want to begin by thanking all the federal, state, local departments involved for their dedication and unwavering commitment to this cause. Your efforts have been instrumental in bringing these predators to justice and protecting the most vulnerable members of our community. Let me share two recent examples of how our collaboration has made a tangible difference. In the first case, HSI Los Angeles teamed up with the Glendora Police Department to intercept a predator who had traveled to the United States with the intent of victimizing a 14-year-old child. Thanks to the swift and coordinated efforts of our teams, this individual was arrested as soon as he arrived at the Los Angeles International Airport and prevented a potential tragedy. In another operation, HSI Los Angeles partnered with the West Covina Police Department and LAPD to take down an individual who had access to children. Through this joint effort, we were not only able to arrest the perpetrator, but also identify the child who had been victimized and provide services. This case underscores the importance of our work and the lives we impact when we join forces. I also want to recognize our partnership with the LAPD and the ICAC, who have been invaluable allies on our broader efforts. Their ongoing support is critical to the overall success of our victim-centric approach to child exploitation investigations. In closing, I want to thank all the officers, investigators, victim advocates, and support staff who contributed to the success. Your hard work has made a real difference and we're sending a clear message that we will not tolerate child exploitation in our communities. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Commander Jay Mastick with LAPD.
Thank you.
Good morning. Although Operation Online Guardian has concluded, the LA ICAC Task Force will remain vigilant and continue in their mission to protect our children. Despite the numerous resources that assist the LA ICAC Task Force in the battle against sexual exploitation of children, there are victims who are as of yet unnoticed. Therefore, we are asking the community for their continued help in this fight. The internet has become an integral part of our lives, and parents and caregivers should be aware of the potential dangers that exists on the internet. Parents and caregivers can help protect their children by educating themselves and their children on the dangers of the internet, by monitoring your children's internet usage, and having an open dialogue with your children to help navigate and avoid sexual predators. The community is encouraged to visit www.missingkids.org, NetSmart, for educational tips and safety tips and activities to help in this effort. The community may also report potential child sexual abuse activity and have harmful matter removed from via this service, Take It Down. That's hosted by the website www.takeitdown.ncmec.org. By reporting potential child sexual abuse activity, you're giving a potential victim a voice when they're often silenced due to circumstances. If you see something, say something. The united efforts of the LA ICAC Task Force and the community in the fight against sexual exploitation of children will surely assist in keeping the child predators at bay and allow children to explore the internet without fear. At this time, the team will now accept questions from the community.
Commander, before we take questions, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Elpidio Orozco. He's going to do a brief statement in Spanish. We will then take questions. Those questions will be limited to this press conference revolving around the ICAC Task Force.
Buenos días. Esto es un resumen de la conferencia de prensa. La razón de esta conferencia es para anunciar la exitosa operación que ocurrió durante 2 semanas en agosto, precisamente del 12 al 23 de agosto. El Departamento de Policía de Los Ángeles inició una investigación de delitos en Internet contra los niños, llamada Guardián. Estos crímenes van desde abuso sexual de niños, contacto con un menor para tener relaciones sexuales y falta de registrarse como delincuente sexual convicto. Esta operación fue dirigida por la Policía de Los Ángeles, con la unidad ICAC, que investigan delitos contra niños en Internet, específicamente delitos sexuales. Colaborando con más de 100 agencias del gobierno, incluyendo otros departamentos de policía y cubriendo 5 condados del sur de California: Los Ángeles, Orange County, San Bernardino County, Santa Bárbara y Ventura County. En total se hicieron 205 arrestos por varios cargos, la mayoría por delitos de actos sexuales contra menores. Aunque la operación Guardián ha concluido, el grupo de ICAC continuará su misión de proteger a los niños. Por esa razón le pedimos a la comunidad ayuda contra esta lucha. Le pedimos a los padres o personas que cuidan niños que eduquen a los peligros del Internet a los niños y de las redes sociales, que supervisen el uso de Internet y tengan un diálogo abierto con sus hijos. Gracias.
We'll now open it up for questions, and news release will be available following the press conference. Additionally, any of these posters will also be available digitally. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
So I clarify, so how many arrests total?
Chief Hamilton?
During this task force, there were a total of 205 arrests on the various charges that I listed previously.
And do we know roughly where they came from? Were most of them Los Angeles County? Because we've got, Riverside, it sounds like the IE, Ventura County as well.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to clarify, so when we take a regional approach, quite often we have things going across jurisdictional lines. So someone may be involved in, let's say, activity in Ventura County, but may come to Los Angeles County and ultimately be arrested there, even though the origin of the investigation was in Ventura County. So we've got a pretty good dispersal of the cases throughout the various municipal agencies, the county level, and other levels. So I don't have the exact numbers, but I will be happy to provide those to you at a later date.
Do you have an age range on people arrested?
I mean, 205 arrests. It spans pretty widely. There's no specific age pattern that we identified necessarily, but it varies greatly.
Or any under 18?
I can get back to you on that information as well.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
This operation was successful for you. It was only for 1 week, but the rest of the year, what is happening? Because the criminals doesn't stop in a week. What is going to happen with the rest of the year?
So what I want to stress, as some of my fellow chiefs have stressed, is the following. If you're going to come to this region, and maybe people may be under the impression that this is only going to be a one-hit wonder, or we're only going to do it during this specific time frame, that would be a mistaken belief. Throughout the year, we're operating in this region on a regular basis, investigating these types of crimes. We routinely switch investigators out, switch individuals out, because a lot of our work is done in an undercover capacity. So we routinely switch officers and investigators so that we have new people coming in, and then quite often some of those experienced people, they'll do their investigations and they'll continue in, serving in that manner after they do play an undercover role. So we have people, going throughout this region, throughout the year, conducting these types of investigations. But during this focused time in this task force, what we do is we identify some of our most egregious predators. We identify individuals that are not complying with the conditions of their parole or probation. They're not complying with their supervised release conditions. They're not complying with their various registration requirements. And we make an intense effort during this time period to focus on those individuals that are most likely to be engaged in recidivist activity. And I'm going to be very blunt about this part of it. It would not be unusual for us to target individuals with undercover operations if we know they're already engaged in or have been convicted of that type of activity. So this should serve as a word of warning. We concentrated our efforts during this time, but those efforts occur throughout the year with this task force and with our partners. And we are constantly switching individuals to make sure that we have new undercover operators coming in to address this specific type of criminal activity.
Okay, one more question, Chief. With these 205 arrests, people arrested, what is the minimum sentence in jail for one, or what is the maximum sentence for someone who is pretending to commit these crimes?
So I'll go from the high to what would be considered some of the less serious offenses. These are all serious offenses. We can talk about somewhere where someone may have kidnapped someone for exploitation purposes, may have transported them to a different part of the region, maybe even a different part of the country. You're literally risking the freedom for the rest of your life. Some of those types of activities could result in lengthy prison sentences on a number of different levels. Starting with the federal level, there are mandatory minimums that involve human trafficking. So then you go from there down to some of the serious crimes on the state level where you may kidnap or move someone for the purpose of exploiting a child, let's say under the age of 14 or under the age of 10. So these carry very, very serious consequences with multi-decade prison sentences that are often handed down by the courts. If you are a repeat offender and you were released on supervised release with a promise that you were not going to engage in that activity again, and then you're subsequently arrested, you can expect that there are going to be severe penalties up to and including a potential sentence for the rest of your life in terms of the number of years that you're sentenced to.
If you don't mind another question.
Sure.
Is this task force is working at the Figueroa corridor? Because many of the minors who are sexually exploited have in contact.
Sure. So I'm not going to talk about our investigative techniques. I will say that we encounter these situations in many different circumstances throughout the region. Certainly, the exploitation of children in human trafficking and putting them as sex workers out on the street is one of those instances. I'm not going to address a specific investigation or any specific investigations regarding their origin, but I will say that we, just like many other areas of Southern California, we are aware that there is a street walking prostitution issue in the Figueroa corridor, and we work very closely with Operations South Bureau and Deputy Chief Ramada Tingarides, as well as our federal partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office. When we determine that someone's being sexually exploited, we take action. This task force is part of that taking action.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Chief,
Sir.
it was mentioned a couple of times today that some of these arrests involve what we call rescues. I know these are sensitive cases, and so you probably can't give specific details, but can you elaborate at all on what it means for some of these potential victims or victims to have been rescued?
Sure. So there are various means by which you can take control of a minor. Quite often, when we think about it in the mainstream media, we think about people being held against their will and things like that. There are many different ways you could coerce a juvenile to not leave a location. And we operate in all of those areas. It may be by force, it may be by coercion, it may be by providing a benefit to that juvenile. I want to be crystal clear about this part of it, though. They're all illegal. They're all illegal. You cannot, hold on to a juvenile for purposes of exploiting them for any reason, at any time. And when we become aware of that activity in this region, we take quick, firm, affirmative action in investigating those crimes and rescuing those children. So I would define a rescue as a juvenile who is removed from a situation where they're either being held by force, fear, coercion, intimidation, or, again, by the offer of certain benefits to stay away from their family home, to stay away from their parent or guardian, and to kind of be exploited in that system by that individual. So that's how I would define a rescue. And we've done plenty of those during this task force. Had a question over here?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know how long did the task force last? And then I know you can't probably get into too specific details, but what went into Operation Online Guardian?
So I'll start with the dates were basically we did it for about a week and a half. And what goes into it is I want to go back to circle back to a little bit of what I talked about. There are many different ways that we identify our targets in these investigations, which I'm not going to necessarily reveal our investigative capabilities or how we do that. But what we basically do is we identify those likely to re-engage in that activity, those that are not complying with the conditions of their supervised release, individuals that we become aware of through community tips, which is very important, and those individuals that are identified by our investigators as being involved in this type of activity. So in the lead up to this task force, what we've done is identified those individuals who deserve that special attention, that extra scrutiny during that time period, and we move forward with those investigations. Now, the great thing about having this collaborative effort behind us and having our partners with us is, again, it is not uncommon for these investigations to stretch out to other jurisdictions. So again, something may start in LA County, but it will eventually go to perhaps Ventura County, San Bernardino County, et cetera. Having this network behind us during the task force is instrumental in identifying people, especially those people that, again, have already gone through the system, been involved in the judicial process, have agreed with the court that they're not going to reoffend, and then they're right back doing the same activity again. That will not be tolerated in this Southern California region, and we will take effective, firm action to make sure that it's investigated and those people are brought to justice.
Out of the 205, are you able to say how many were reoffenders?
I can provide that information later on. Yes, sir.
Of the 205, have any been charged by DA Gascon or other DAs?
I can also, so right now, as it stands, our investigations are moving forward. Not all of the filing decisions have been finalized. Some of them have requested additional information before we proceed. I can tell you that we're going to work very closely with all of our regional district attorneys' offices to get them the information, even if it's cross-jurisdictional, because, again, something may have happened in one county and then we prosecute in another county. So we're working and networking together to make sure that they have the best information, and down the line, we'll have a better clarity on what those prosecuting agencies will be bringing in terms of charges against these individuals. right, anyone else?